बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलामुअलैकुम एवरीवन आई होप कि आप लोग ठीक ठाक होंगे आई एम थैंकफुल that you are here for the English lecture. It's reminded me that it is going to be an English lecture, not the Urdu one. So let me start, inshallah. So today we are going to talk about spiritual foundations of leadership. I hope you are looking at my screen now. So, this is going to be an interactive series. So, what I would like you to do would be that if I ask a question, you can always get in the comment box and respond to me. And please keep your mics off. Because it's going to be difficult for me to manage both the things, conducting the lecture and putting everybody on a mic off. So please take care of that. So we are going to talk about spiritual foundations of leadership. What leadership is from an Islamic perspective. So we are going to talk about how our purpose, identity, and values they influence who we are, what we are as a leader, and what Islam says about the leadership. So, what do you think leadership is? Can I see you in the chat box? Okay. So, when we talk about leadership, Maxwell says that leadership is only two things. In fact, one thing, that is to influence someone. Now, the influence could be a good influence or a bad influence. So, for example, a leader might lead his nation to war, which is unnecessary. Or a leader may ask for mass killings of his opponents. We have been seeing all these things around us. So, leadership is two things to me. One is influence, the other one is impact. There could be good leadership and there could be bad leadership. When we talk about good leadership, that means the effects of leadership are going to be positive. The person who is leading his nation or people will actually lead them to a better place, to a better position. And sometimes the other way around is possible. That the leader might take the nation, the people to a worse place. When he leaves, they are worse off as compared to when they started following him. So, leadership is influence and impact. Now, the question arises, are you or am I a leader? What do you think? So, again, getting back to the chat box. So some of you think that you are a leader and some of you think that they are not leaders. Now let's see what our religion says about it. So there's a beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and he says that every one of us is a shepherd and everybody is going to be asked about their flock. So whoever is following you, it could be your friends, it could be your younger brothers or sisters, it could be people around you, it could be your staff, or it could be your children. So you are given a responsibility to lead them to a better place, to lead them towards success. So every one of us is a shepherd. So somebody asked, please define influence. Influence is the effect you are going to have on somebody else. So the hadith tells us that every one of us is going to be responsible for the people who are following us, right? And the question now arises is what type of leader are we? Now there are different leadership types. I'll just explain them to you briefly. So one of them is a transformational leader. Who is a transformational leader? When you start leading someone or a group of people, so when you come and lead them and then when you leave, so there's a difference. There's an improvement in those people. That means you have transformed their life. Then there's a servant leader. Who is a servant leader? Who actually is trying to help them become better, to become successful as individuals and as a nation. Then there's a transactional leadership. That means I do something for you and you do something for me. And then there's another type of leadership which is very common. That is called charismatic leadership. And generally, charismatic leader is someone who looks good, who is having an excellent communication skill, and who knows how to convince people. It doesn't matter he is a good person or a bad person. Somebody who can lead masses by touching their specific points, by channeling their anger, their frustrations. That type of person is known as a charismatic leader. And a charismatic leader has a potential for leading the nation into destruction. And a charismatic leader, if he goes astray, takes the whole nation in behind him. Because generally, people do not, if they are following somebody who is charismatic, they don't want anyone to question that person. And that person also, because he has built a charisma and he has built a blind followership, he doesn't want to be questioned. So it's a dangerous type of leadership, but it's a very successful type of leadership and very effective if it goes right. But it has all the chances of getting wrong, going in the wrong direction. So the question is, what type of leaders are we, or what type of leader our religion wants us to be? So there's another hadith, a beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that Sayyidul Qawmi fi Safari Khadimuhum, that the leader of a nation in a journey is their servant. And that's the essence of servant leadership. Simon Sinek is a very famous speaker and a writer on leadership, and he actually talks a lot about servant leadership. There's a book, one of his books says, Leaders Eat Last. So if you go and look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he would be among different people, he would be the last one to eat. Not only, it's a metaphor actually, it's not only about eating. That means you as a leader or I as a leader take the benefits in the end after everybody is fulfilled. So there are countless stories from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. He actually gave things, whatever he got, to others instead of using them himself. Right? So how can I be a good leader? That is the next question which we should ask ourselves. So there is a prescription in the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. In the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have the best model. We learn something that is called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, and there is a concept of modeling in Neuro Linguistic Programming. What do we mean by modeling? Is that we just observe somebody who is successful at something, and then what we do is we try and imitate that person, his attributes, his qualities, and we learn from him, and try and do the same things as that particular person is doing. And Quran says to us that we should imitate the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in all his attributes, and which will make us good leaders. So لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. And then not only it tells us that he is the best example to follow, Quran also tells us that this is the recipe for success. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. That anybody, whoever follows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has actually succeeded and he is immensely successful. So this is the recipe of success. We'll inshallah talk about success more in our next lecture, but this is the recipe of becoming a good leader and a successful leader, that we start following the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then this is also a recipe which when we apply, we also become beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ. So if you love Allah, فَاتَّبِعُونِي, follow me, يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will start loving you. So this is the recipe for success, this is the recipe for getting better leader, and this is the recipe for getting love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is it? Now this is a question for you. What is that particular thing which differentiates good leaders from bad leaders? Back to the chat box. So let's see what it is. A leader has a vision. So somebody who is a bad leader, he doesn't have a collective vision for everyone. He might be making money for himself, his family, but a leader's vision involves every one of his followers. He wants everyone to succeed. So a leader, what separates a leader from a follower is having a vision. And what separates a good leader from a bad leader is having a vision for everyone's success. So under a good leader, a society as a whole progresses, right? What is a vision? So the dictionary defines it as the ability to imagine how a country, society, industry, or whatever, even yourself, to develop in the future and to plan for this. Now you have to think of maybe 5 years, 10 years from now. So whenever you go for an interview, they ask you one question: where do you see yourself in 5 years? That is a very important question. That means you have actually imagined a future for yourself and probably you are working to make it happen. So if I imagine a healthy future for myself, my personal life, that I am going to be a healthy person, that means I would be doing something to make it happen. Otherwise, it's just a dream. If I want to be successful as a teacher, I would probably need a few things, a few qualities, a few skills, which will make me stand out from the rest in such a way that I can communicate the value of what I am delivering. That is a vision. And then I will have to have certain steps to make that vision happen, to get that vision materialized, right? So the ability to imagine how a country, society, industry, group of people, individual can develop in the future, and to plan and to execute that plan. Now let's see what the vision of the Prophet ﷺ was. When he started preaching, he used to tell people around him that the society must serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the creator of mankind, and try to serve his purpose to help people and to worship him and him alone. And then for that, initially the people around him who were related to the system which was in place at that time around him, they tried to oppose him. They tried to convince him first, and then when he was not ready to listen to them and he was continuing with his mission, so they tried to coerce him, they tortured his companions, and finally he had to move from one place to the other, from Makkah Mukarramah to Madinah Munawwarah, to actually execute what he wanted to see happening. And then he established a society where people would start following what his teachings were. And if you can see, now this is a very small village. It's not like the city of today. I've heard that if you just go around Masjid al-Nabi, the Medina of that time was just around that. It's a small village. And then one day they find out that whole of the Arabian Peninsula, the people have combined forces and they are coming to defeat them. They're having different wars, different battles. But now this one is the biggest one and they have combined forces and now they are surrounding Medina and the people are sitting inside behind a trench. They dug a trench for themselves. Now what happens is, now see how difficult it was to lead at that time. So one of the companions came to him and he lifted the cloth over his belly and he showed the Prophet ﷺ that he has tied a stone strongly to his belly so that he doesn't feel hunger. Now what happens is that Prophet ﷺ removes his cloth from his belly and showed that companion that he had two stones tied to his belly. So as a leader, when you're asking people to sacrifice, you have to sacrifice more. And then they were digging the trench. They saw a rock which was not breaking by their effort. So they asked him, "Can you help?" And he then went down with a tool. And when he struck the stone or the rock with his tool, there were sparks of fire from it. And then he did it again and then again, and then the rock broke. So what did he say, if you remember that? You might have heard it. The first time he struck the rock, he said, "I have been given the keys of the Roman Empire." Something like that. I don't remember the exact words. Then, the second time, he said similar thing about Persian Empire. And in the third time, he said that the gates, I have been shown the gates of Yemen. And we are going to conquer Yemen. Yemen was another thriving economy and strong place at that particular time. Now imagine they're sitting in a defensive mode behind a trench. The whole Arabian Peninsula has gathered against them, and he's talking about conquering the superpowers. And his vision was really clear. And then he also, once upon a time, another time, he talked about that one of your expeditions is going to conquer Constantinople. And the leader of that expedition would be an excellent person. And the people who would be following him in that expedition would be similarly excellent people. And imagine that this particular hadith, it laid the vision for the Ottoman Empire. It just kept people, everybody who was a king over there would actually try and conquer Constantinople till it was conquered by Sultan Muhammad Fateh. So now sitting there behind a trench, he gave a vision for his whole ummah. That what would be the strategy for expansion? Where would you go from here? Because he had spent so many years building that nation, building their people, that he had that conviction that these guys are going to conquer the world. They had been through a lot of troubles, torture. They were in a constant training mode. He was building them up, building their character. Right? So his vision included the whole world. Now, what a vision is, for example, if I want to learn from it and I want to create a vision for myself, there should be certain characteristics of a vision. A vision should be clear. See, if I gave you two examples, it was really clear what we are going to do. It has to be directional. It should tell you where you are going to move from here. If I ask you what your vision is, you should be able to articulate it in a couple of sentences maybe. It should be slightly flexible. Flexible in the sense that I want to do something, but the methodology may have an alternate way of doing it. Okay, if I get stuck somewhere, I can find another way to do it. It should be feasible, so that it's somewhere between the realism and the optimism. It should be focused. It should give you a direction that this is the place you're going to move. It should be motivating. So when I was talking to one of my friends, and I was going through this introspection that okay, I'm happy doing whatever I want to do, and why should I actually start working extra? Because the way I have set my direction, it's just working for me. And God bless him, Mudassir, my friend, he said to me that you might be working at 30% of your capacity, that's why you're happy. And that was the main practical point where I decided to establish the move. That okay, if I'm not working 100% of my capacity, even 60-70% of my capacity, what justice am I doing with myself? In this life, we are on a journey to discover ourselves. And if I am not trying my utmost best to deliver what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to me, I am not doing justice to it. He's going to ask me. There's a hadith that the feet of the son of Adam alayhi salam wouldn't be able to move from his place unless he has answered about 5 things. One of them is, where did you spend your time? Where did you spend your youth? Right? So your vision should be very clear. It should give you direction. You should be able to communicate it to other people, and you should be able to inspire with it. Because you will, if you are becoming a leader, you will need some followers. And people will only follow you if they think that it is going to help them in some way. You should be flexible with your methods. The vision should be somewhere between the optimism and realism. It should be focused to attain that vision, to achieve that vision. It should be motivating and inspiring enough that it should make you do something extra. Spend time, spend energy, right? So these are the characteristics of the vision. And then why do you have that particular vision? So there are a lot of things people do, and they're just running in a rat race, and they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing it because everybody else is doing it. So what could be the reason behind doing something great? And reason that would make you get up from your bed every day in the morning. That would give the meaning to your life. And that reason is the purpose of our creation. If you just remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us so that we worship Him. Now we have a very limited scope or limited understanding of worship. Worship has a much broader meaning. So when I talk about worship, there are certain things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made obligatory upon us. We have to pray 5 times a day, we have to fast in Ramadan, that's the beginning of Ramadan, and then we have to pay charity, obligatory charity, and we have to perform Hajj. These are the obligations. Then there is a lot of stuff which He has left upon us. The intention should be right, that by doing this particular act, I am trying to please my Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my Creator. Once the intention is right, then everything you do would actually become ibadah. So let me give you an example. Sometimes some of you are actually, I can see a few of you are doctors. So you go and perform a duty of maybe 24 hours. But that doesn't mean you are up and awake 24 hours and just attending the patients. During that time, sometimes you go to sleep, sometimes you go to have your food. But that doesn't mean that those hours are cut off from your duty. They are not subtracted. Your duty is counted all 24 hours, even the resting period, the time you spent sleeping, the time you spent talking to someone. Because you were on duty 24 hours during that period of time. In the same way, when we make the purpose of our existence, we align it with the purpose of our creation, everything we do becomes ibadah. Unless it is within the limits, permissible limits which He has prescribed for us. That means if I am on my work of inspiring people to be His good servants, and I go to sleep in the middle, and I get up in the morning next day and I do something about it again, the middle time where I was resting also is counted in my duty. Because I am trying to fulfill the purpose of my creation. So this is the way of looking at things. How you look at what you are doing. Now, how strong your belief is in your vision. Sometimes what happens is, when I'm talking to people and discussing different things from them, especially about a few things related to being soft on people, being having good manners, and dealing with people with softness, and forgive them for their mistakes. A lot of people say that whenever we do that, people take advantage of it. And then the answer I give to them is, we have two choices. We can spend our life in the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed us, or we can spend our lives in the way the society is pushing us to spend our lives. So the choice is ours, and we are going to be rewarded for those choices actually. I would rather be soft on people and have good manners and then be taken advantage of than would have a strict and bad mannered style so that people fear me, and then I face when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is not happy with me. Make Him angry and make people happy, or make myself happy for that matter. So we always have those choices. So the question is, how strong is your belief? So when Prophet ﷺ actually started preaching openly, Some people from the Quraysh, they came to his uncle and they offered him a few things. They told him that we can give you a lot of wealth, we can make you the king, and we can marry you with some beautiful woman. But you have to stop doing what you are doing. Now, see, he could have actually thought that, okay, I'll be the king, and I can find a middle way around, compromise. He said, what did he say? If you put sun on my one hand and moon on the other, I won't stop what I do. What was that? That was the strength, the faith of his vision. That I have a sense of purpose, a sense of mission, that I will not take anything. I won't take money. I won't take the kingship. I won't look at the woman you're offering me. I'll keep continuing my work. Right? And I want to give you another example, beautiful example. When he went to Taif, the people were very harsh on him. They actually pelted him with stones, and so much so that his shoes, they were full of blood. And that time he makes a prayer. Allahumma ilayka ashku da'fa quwwati wa qillata hilati wa qawani al-nas. Oh Allah, I complain to you about my weakness. Dhaf is not in them, it's in me. Wa qillata hilati, I don't have those methods to convince them. Wa hawani al-nas, and I don't find any power, any influence on these people. He could have easily said, oh, these people are notorious and they are not listening to me. It's not my fault. That's what we do. We always find somebody to blame for our shortcomings. We're taking 100% of the responsibility. I was not capable of delivering the message efficiently so that they would listen. And then there are hadiths when Jibreel alayhi salam came to him and asked him that if you want, I'll just turn this mountain on them and kill them all. He said, they don't know. They don't recognize me. Maybe someday their offspring will actually serve my purpose. Might become good Muslims. Right? So this is the belief in your vision. This is the touchstone which has been given to us to judge that how strongly we believe in our vision. Now, his vision was not for himself only. Otherwise, he would have taken the kingship or the money, or married a woman, and would have lived happily ever after. That's what we see around ourselves. Somebody starts a campaign, and then he gets something, and then he forgets all the other people. His vision included everyone who was following him, even those who were not following him at that time. So how wider vision we have, how clearer vision we have, that is a question to ask ourselves. Now, if you want to be an excellent leader, you are a leader. Because we established that in the beginning that kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. So you are going to be asked about the people who are following you. So there is one superpower which we can make use of, and that can help us be the best leaders in the world. And that superpower is taqwa. What is taqwa? It's being mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's being cognizing of the fact that He is with you all the time. He's watching you. If you appear in front of an examiner, and you perform a procedure, you're very careful that he is seeing you and he's watching every move you make, and then he's marking you on whatever you are doing, and that makes you perform better. In the same way, when we have that particular feeling, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me, and do you know that this is the level of ihsan? There's a hadith where Jibreel alayhi salam came in the human form and he asked a question. One of them was, what is ihsan? And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded that you worship Allah in such a way that as if you were watching him. And if you can't do that, at least build a sense that he is watching you. That is the highest level of faith. So when you have that particular level, that you feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me all the time. He says, Nahnu aqrabu ilayhi min hablil warid. I am closer to you than your jugular vein. That is right inside me. That means he knows what I am doing, what I even think. He knows that. So he even knows what our nafs, our mind creates, what types of thoughts come to us. So in that case, if I want his help to succeed in my life, the only way I can have is to develop something which is called the consciousness or the cognition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me all the time. And that is called taqwa. Some people say fear. In Urdu we translate it as khawf, but I like that concept that we are mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not only khawf we are supposed to have. It's not only fear. We're also supposed to have the love. So there's a mix of hope and fear. Both. So we are actually cognizant, we're actually conscious that he is with me all the time. So what are the fruits of taqwa? You know, this sums up all the efforts we make in our lives. In Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Whoever fears Allah or whoever is mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he makes ways for him. Whenever he gets stuck, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a way for him. وَيَرْزُقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And he provides him provision from where he cannot even imagine. مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Can't even think of. So he's taking care of your problems, providing you solutions, and he's taking care of your sustenance. And then he says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ يُسْرًا. That whoever is mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he makes things easier for him. Now that sums up our problems in our life. Everything we are doing. We want money for sustaining ourselves. We want that our things become easier for us. And we want that our ways become open for us all the time. And he's promising everything if we are actually being mindful to him. And then there's another reward, that he is with those people who are mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now imagine that I saw a picture where a guy had written on his bike's number plate that he is the gardener of SHO ka Mali. And obviously he would actually boast about it. He would actually go and find some benefits from it, and we've seen it everywhere. We see that somebody is driving with a green number plate, or somebody is having a big car, an off-road vehicle with a few guards. They actually try and suppress others. They boast about their strength and their power and everything, the money. And imagine sometimes these things inspire us. And when I actually realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extremely dislikes people who walk on the earth as if they're proud. He actually absolutely dislikes those people. And then I thought that okay, I'm getting inspired from those people who are the embodiment of this particular verse in our times. That they drive on these roads in such a way that they are superior than others. So I made actually istighfar about it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. Now imagine if somebody knows someone who's a little bit powerful, is in the government or anything else, he actually tries and boasts about it all the time. And what is our relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When Isa alayhi salam started talking while he was a baby, the first thing he said, Inni Abdullah, I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that call me Abduhu wa Rasuluh. I am his servant and his messenger. So this relationship we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we strengthen it, then we have nothing to fear. Because even if we have certain problems in this life, we know that this is a very finite place. 60, 70, 80 years. And then we will be with Him. We will be with the one whom we have loved all our life, whom we have been grateful all our lives, and whom we have remembered as someone close to us. We loved Him, we remembered Him, and He actually always gives you back. Faskuruni askurukum. If you remember me, I'll remember you. And He remembers us in among the creations who are better than most of the creation. So, what does that give us? It tells us that if we have that feeling that we are answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He's with us all the time, that solves all of our burning problems. That is a superpower, that is the fuel of our leadership. And that is taqwa. There's a beautiful hadith, a story. Prophet ﷺ was actually sending Hazrat Muaz radiallahu ta'ala anhu as a governor of Yemen. So, now imagine the scene. Muaz radiallahu ta'ala anhu is on the back of his horse and Prophet ﷺ is walking beside him to say him farewell. So when both of them they reached the outskirts of Medina, Prophet ﷺ said to Muaz radiallahu ta'ala anhu that, "Oh Muaz, next year when you're going to come back here, you will not find me. You'll pass through my grave." So Muaz actually wept, thinking of his departure and not being with the Prophet ﷺ and not seeing him when he comes back. So Prophet ﷺ, he turned his face towards Medina and he said, "Inna awla nasi bil muttaqun man kanu wa haythu kanu." People who are going to be close to me would be the people of taqwa, whoever they are and wherever they are. Imagine, this also includes us. If we take that principle, only that principle from today's talk, and we start working on becoming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, developing a feeling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being close to us, we will be at the level of excellence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, al jaza'ul ihsani ila al ihsan, that what can be a reward for excellence, then excellence. And remember that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says anything in the Quran, we are supposed to have absolute faith on it. Why? Because He said, whose words are more truthful than Allah's words. So if we have that faith, that okay, I will give away whatever He doesn't like, and I'll live a life of taqwa. He will take care of my sustenance, He will take care of my problems, He'll find solutions to them, and He'll make things easier for me. And He'll be always with me. So if a person knows somebody in the government, he has a lot of satisfaction that he won't be in problem. Here, the King of the Kings is telling us that I will be with you. So the concept of having taqwa is getting very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are certain guiding principles for your leadership journey. The first thing is that build a routine. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually likes those actions which are little but they are consistently done. It doesn't matter they are more or they are less. So if you have a habit of maybe reciting some tasbih 100 times a day, make it a habit of doing it every day. If your habit of having a specific time you sit with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and talk to Him in a way a person discusses something with a friend, do it every day, just for 5 minutes. And you will see that the bond between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will start increasing in strength. Right? So He likes those actions which are done every day and are consistently done, even if they are a little thing. Then you should take care of your intentions. Innamal a'malu binniyat. If I am doing something for which, even if it is good action, but I am doing it for showing off to someone else, it's going to get me into trouble. Because the first 3 people who are going to be thrown in the hell would be, one of them would be an alim, person who knows religion. Other one is going to be somebody who spends money for charity. And the third one is going to be the person who got martyred in a battle. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask him, what was your matter? They would say that we did this and this and this for you. And he would say that no. You did this for yourself. To be called as an alim, to be called as somebody who spends charity, saqi, and to be called as somebody who was brave and got killed in the battle. You got what you wanted, now go into the hellfire. They will be thrown into the hellfire. So we need to take care of our intentions, that whatever we are doing for His sake, for making Him happy. And then always try and purify ourselves. Prophet ﷺ said that there is one piece, one place in your body. If it gets corrected, everything gets corrected. The whole body gets corrected. And if it gets corrected, the whole body gets corrected. And that's qalb. Now the concept of qalb is not actually the physical heart in Islamic tradition. It is more than that. It's a seat of the emotions, the feelings, and our desires. Right? So take care of your health. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually likes those people who are healthy or strong as compared to the one who is weak. So developing a routine for physical exercise, even for mental toughness. You meditate, you go in the nature, you look at the world around you and try to find His signs around you. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. He says that in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the interchanging of the night and the day are the signs for those who think. الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم. These are the people who remember Him when they are standing, when they are قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم, and when they are sitting and when they are on their backs, lying down. So they remember Him all the time. You know that there is one particular thing about which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one particular form of ibadah about which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to do it in plentiful way. And that is zikr. Remember Him. Imagine, some of you might have performed Hajj. When you're done with the Hajj, all the manasik, you are dead tired. Every cell of your body is crying with pain because you have been through so much. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? He says, وَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمْ مَنَاسِكَكُمْ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ. When you're done with your rituals, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember Him as you remember your forefathers, or more than that. Now, something I learned in NLP was that your emotions and feelings, they develop through attention. So I don't have my parents with me, but when I start feeling about remembering them, I develop some sort of feeling. So if you have an attachment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you remember Him, you will have that particular feeling with you, and He's going to reciprocate you with that feeling. فَاسْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. And then take care of your time. You spend a lot of time doing things which are futile. And there's a beautiful hadith which says that the beauty of the deen of a person is in leaving whatever is useless, whatever is futile. Now we should be doing an audit of our whatever we do during the day and thinking about whether it's useful for us or not. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us that we do justice and we show excellence towards our relatives, towards those people who are closer to us. Take care of the quality of work. When we talk about values, and you would see that excellence is a virtue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it obligatory on us, almost obligatory, wajib. Inna Allah kataba al-ihsana ala kulli shay'in. It's necessary for us that we show excellence in whatever stuff we do. It is written on us that we do whatever we do, we try and improve ourselves, we try and do it in the best possible manner. And there are beautiful verses which we actually recite when we make sacrifice of our animals. And that is قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This should be the intention of not only the sacrifice, it should be the intention of our life. It should be the intention we should set every day when we wake up. That my sacrifice, my prayer, my sacrifice, my life and my death are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I and no one to him. I make associate no partners with. And this is what I have been ordered. And I am the first one to surrender. Surrender myself, my will in front of the will of Allah. So design your days through routines, and you can build your routine around the prayer times because they are fixed times almost, unless you're living somewhere where it moves drastically. But otherwise, we live around equator, so we have a kind of a constant time of day and night, and there's very different movement of days. So design your day in such a way that you have routines of different things, and you have actually planned your actions around the prayer times. And there's another tip I can give you, though I follow it roughly. Imagine the new day starts right at the sunset. The way the lunar calendar works. The sun sets, your day has ended and you've started your new day. Plan for the next day. Do some of the stuff right at the night before you go to sleep. And when you will get up, you will actually see a new day with half of it has already gone. Now you will have a sense of urgency. It's only a bit of your imagination which you need to work on. It's nothing special. So somebody actually decided that at 12 a.m. the date will change. It was not written anywhere. There are no signs on the sky that at 12 a.m. the date changes. But if you start thinking of the date change, or in terms of the lunar calendar, you will actually be able to get a hold of your time in a much better way. And you'll be able to organize your whole 24 hours around it, especially around the prayer times. So build your schedule for excellence. It should have room for physical activity because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves people who are strong. It should have time for your mental activity, your spiritual activity, your different targets you have for your life, different things which you have actually imagined as a part of your vision. You would need certain skills, certain knowledge, you would need to make connections. So spend a little bit of time for everything. Develop a holistic view of life. I'll share that with you. I have a whole framework through which I teach at my little institute called Namood when I'm teaching one-on-one. Even there's a series of lectures I conducted for a madrasa, and we are uploading them on YouTube one by one. Inshallah, you can see them as well, but they are in Urdu. So I think everybody I'm seeing here no names which suggest that you won't be able to understand Urdu. But I think that would be good for you. So you can have a look at those 11 lectures as well. I've just uploaded the first one, but I'll upload one per week, inshallah. And they're in edition. They are in editing at this point in time. So I'll see you again, inshallah. If anybody wants to leave, you can leave. And now I can open the forum for questions. If you have any questions, you can ask. And the lecture is over. If somebody wants to leave, you can. I'll be there unless I'm done with the question answers. So if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat box and I will inshallah answer. Okay, I think questions are over. So inshallah I'll see you again next week. And I have an Urdu lecture on Friday at 3 p.m. Pakistan time. The topic would be Kamyabi ke Sunehri Usool min Hayat Rasool Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So I hope to see you there as well. See you on Friday inshallah maybe, and then Saturday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.